Hello everyone, this is the first lesson recording for IM1 Distance Learning Week 6. We will be tackling solving more complicated absolute value equations today. Some announcements: there is an optional mastery mini quiz that's going to be held on Wednesday, May 20th at 1 p.m. and it's going to be on domain and range. So I will give you a little bit more information about domain and range. If you currently hold a grade of 55 to 65% on your overall grade, this quiz is now mandatory because these are absolute minimum skills you need to have in order for you to move on to IM2. And what is domain and range? This is an image that is available in Google Classroom under the mastery quiz. So I strongly suggest you look at this, process it, and see if you understand this. There are other, and you should also look at your notes. And there are Khan Academy problems and things like that that you can do to practice as well. So I hope to see you. Today's quiz is going to be on absolute value equations, solving them, and next week will be on more complicated absolute value equations. And homework this week, you only have one. That's on Google Classroom. And again, as always, I'm available on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 3. Schedule for next week, it's slightly different. Why? Because of Memorial Day weekend. This does not affect you guys because I do not see you on Mondays. However, just for your interest, this is the schedule for next week. And also, this is the final schedule. On the final week, you're going to be meeting me for finals. If you first period on Monday, second period on Tuesday, or sixth period will be on Wednesday. On the finals week, we will not have a formal finals, but we will meet for our weekly quiz, and I'm also offering optional quiz. Optional quiz will cover any material. So any of the 4 or 5 quizzes that we've had during the distance learning. And on that, if you score higher, I will replace your lowest or missing quiz from the distance learning quiz category. So this is a chance for you to raise up your quiz grade. But again, if you're hoping to raise your overall grade, you should be taking the mastery skills quiz. These are the warm-up problems. So at this point, please pause the video and try to solve these problems. Okay, so I hope you had the chance to do the warm-up problem. I am going to go over them really quickly. So you have an absolute value expression isolated on one side of the equal sign. So at this point, we just need to separate the two equations, and we know that what is inside here could be positive or negative. So we know that x plus 7 could be positive 2, or x plus 7 could be negative 2. So we have two possibilities, and then from here you are just going to be solving them. So how do I do that? Subtracting 7 from both sides, that leaves us with x is equal to negative 5, and same thing, subtracting 7 from both sides, and that leaves us with that side x is equal to negative 9. So I have two different solutions. I have to be checking. So I have to check to make sure that it is correct. Substituting back to the original equation, negative 5 plus 7, is that equal to 2? Well, negative 5 plus 7, that's positive 2, and absolute value of that is just 2. So that checks out. What about the other solution? Negative 9 plus 7 is equal to 2. Is that so? Negative 9 plus 7 is negative 2. Absolute value of 2. Negative 2, absolute value of negative 2 is just 2. So indeed it checks out. Okay, next problem. X minus 2, absolute value of x minus 2 is equal to negative 7. So at this point, you should be asking, is there a value for this that's ever going to give negative number as your answer? Can absolute value function ever give a negative answer, negative number as your answer? Then the answer is no. Okay, so you should be asking, can absolute value function give negative number as the output or the answer? And the answer is never. So I'm going to write it in red. So that means that there is no solution. There is no value for x that's ever going to give that negative 7 as the final answer. Okay, let's move on. Now we have number 3. Absolute value of 3x minus 2 is equal to 4. Now again, this could be positive or negative because once you apply the absolute value function, it's always going to come out as positive. So let's separate the two equations. That becomes 3x minus 2 is equal to positive 4, or 3x minus 2 is equal to negative 4. And then from here, I am going to solve as we always do. Add 2 to both sides, and that leaves us with 3x is equal to 6. And then from here, divide both sides by 3, and you are left with x is equal to 2. For the other equation, we do the same thing. Add 2 to both sides, and you're left with 3x is equal to negative 2. And then divide both sides by 3, and then you are left with x is equal to negative 2 over 3. Now we need to be checking to make sure that they are indeed our solutions. So 3 times 2 minus 2, absolute value of that is that 4. Well, 3 times 2 is 6 minus 2, absolute value of is 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. And absolute value of 4 is indeed 4. So that checks out. The other side, absolute value of 3 times negative 2 over 3 minus 2 is that 4? That's the question. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Divide by 3 minus 2 is on the left hand side is equal to 4. Negative 6 divided by 3. What's negative 6 divided by 3? That's negative 2. Minus 2 is equal to 4. And what's negative 2 minus 2? That's negative 4. Absolute value of it. Absolute value of negative 4 is just 4. Is 4. So indeed, that is the case. Some of you are confusing this part. This is the solving part. This is absolutely necessary. Okay? This is the checking part. This is secondary. After you've solved it, you've figured out what the solutions are, then you are checking your answer to make sure indeed they are correct. That's what you're doing, but solving means you are figuring out what x could be. Alright, so then finally, x minus 5x is equal to 16. Very similar. Again, this could be positive or negative. So 4 minus 5x is positive 16, or 4 minus 5x is negative 16. And in this case, I need to get rid of 4 here by subtracting. And then I am going to do it all at the same time, which leaves us with, this goes away, negative 5x is equal to 16 minus 4 is what? 16 minus 4 is 12. Okay, and then from here, I am going to divide by negative 5. And so x is negative 12 over 5. Do not lose your negative signs. And again, this cancels out, and you're left with negative 5x is equal to negative 16 minus 4 is negative 20. From here, I am dividing both sides by negative 5. And that leaves us with x to be 20 divided by 5 is 4. And negative divided by negative is positive 4. Okay, so I have my two solutions. Then I am going to check. So let's check. 4 times negative 12 over 5. Oops, I made a mistake. There's 4 minus 5 times negative 12 over 5. Absolute value of it is equal to 16. Is that true? Okay. 4 times So I keep saying 4 times. There is just 4 minus what's negative 5 times negative 12 divided by 5. I hope you're starting to see that if you multiply by a number and then divide it out again, then it's just like multiplying it and dividing it. So they cancel out. So you're left with 12, but this is negative 12 multiplied by negative, so that becomes plus 12. And is that equal to 16? 4 plus 12 is 16. Absolute value of 16. Is that 16? Absolutely. So that's true. And then for the other problem checking, that will be absolute value of 4 minus 5 times 4. Is that 16? So 4, absolute value of 4 minus 5 times 4 is 20. Is that 16? 4 minus 20 is negative 16. Absolute value of, is that 16? Yes, it is 16. So they check out. So my solution in this case, and I am using my curly bracket, and don't confuse this with absolute value sign symbol or parenthesis. My solution is 12 over 5 and 4. Okay, that's it.